What's up everyone, it's Connie with MoneyVest. So Bitcoin is perhaps the only game in town right now as it continues to rip higher to almost getting up to new all-time highs at just under 69,000. Right now trading at a little bit over $62,000 at the moment. In this video, I'm going to break down, of course, with the entire market with a little bit more focus on cryptos, as that's really a hot trending topic right now in the markets, and of course break down the very important consensus expectations for tomorrow's inflation numbers. That's the Fed's preferred measure of inflation, as well as the economic growth that came out today for the fourth quarter 2023 in the US. So as always, if you enjoyed this video, find it helpful, make sure that you drop a like and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. The links to our Discord and Patreon is going to be down below. The 29th of February is quite literally the last day if you want to join and be a part of our MoneyVest community and get access to all the members only private videos, as well as our weekly newsletter that I'm going to be sending out every Sunday with my entire analysis and my views on the market, with some very actionable recommendations for trade ideas, swing trades. Everything is going to be listed on that newsletter, and you will also have access to our moneyvest.com platform and our website at the end of March, and access to all the trade alerts and trade ideas. Everything is going to be included over there as well. So link's going to be down below, and also do connect with me on Instagram. My handle is going to be CASWRP, and would love to have you on board over there as well. So going over to the economic growth, U.S. economy on a firmer footing heading into the first quarter. So we did see the U.S. economic growth in the fourth quarter increase by 3.2% on an annualized basis. That again is a very strong growth, even though there has been a little bit of a downward revision back down from a prior number of 3.3%. Consensus was 3.3. 3.2 is still a very strong growth for the gross domestic product over in the U.S., and that continues to solidify this idea of a potential soft landing because the economy is strong, unemployment's low, and as a result, we are seeing interest rates at still relatively higher levels, and the Federal Reserve is going to be a little bit more resistant to lowering interest rates too much too soon because they believe the economy is strong and it can handle higher interest rates for longer. Mortgage applications did drop week over week, down about 5.6 to 4.5%. And this right here is the very important personal income and outlays consensus of 0.4%. That's the expectation going into tomorrow at 8:30 a.m. Eastern. These numbers are going to come out, month over month increase, with a month over month index increase of 0.2% and 0.3%. And the year over year number, we're looking at 2.4. And the more important core PCE, that's the core inflation number, that's the Fed's preferred measure of inflation, at 0.4% month over month, and year over year of 2.8%. Slight decrease from the prior number of 2.9, but still well above the Fed's target of 2%, which is where they want to see inflation eventually. Markets were slightly down Dow Jones here flat, S&P down 17 basis points, and NASDAQ here dropping about 0.5%. This right here is the entire FANG Mint stocks and index here. So we got Tesla, Microsoft, Amazon, more or less flat. Tesla was the only leader on the day, up a little bit over 1%, finally breaking out of that $200 resistance. We got Apple, AMD, Netflix, Nvidia, and Google, all of them selling off. I've got videos coming out on Tesla and Google more specifically here towards the end of the week, so we'll be talking about that in a little bit more detail. But this right here is the entire heat map. So we did have semiconductors and chip stocks finally taking a breather, pulling back with Intel, Applied Materials, Micron, AMD, Qualcomm, Texas Instruments, Broadcom, Nvidia. A lot of these companies and stocks here selling off a little bit, 1 to 2% to as much as 3%. We did have a little bit of pullback in healthcare, communication services. Financials did well. Auto manufacturers did well, including Tesla, Ford, and GM. Real estate doing a little bit better. So is materials and industrials also pushing higher on the day. So a little bit of a mixed market on the day. In the last 1 week, once again, we got energy and comm services pulling back. In the last 1 month, we did have consumer cyclicals, industrials, healthcare, financial, all stocks pushing higher, with real estate and comm services pulling back. Palladium, we got canola, wheat, we got Japanese yen, Australian dollar, platinum pushing higher, with cotton prices, orange juice, and cocoa prices pulling back. And Bitcoin, as I said earlier, is the hottest topic, trending topic here on the day. Over the last several weeks here, it's been pushing higher, kind of inching closer and closer to new all-time highs, sitting just over $62,000 and either just over 3,400 as well. I did pick up IBIT, which is the iShares Bitcoin ETF, up a little bit over 25, close to 30% on that, and we'll continue the dollar cost average into that ETF as well over time. Now this right here is going to be the crypto chart. IBIT here up over 5.7%. and Bitcoin just trading over 62,000 with a massive breakout and coming up to that resistance and that target of almost $70,000. That's pretty much the all-time high for crypto, for Bitcoin here. And RSI, of course, very, very overbought at 85. So just got to be super careful. But this right here was a massive breakout to the upside, pushing higher, then consolidating sideways, another huge breakout to the upside. And this is going to be that resistance and that target that we're watching at close to $70,000 for Bitcoin. That's pretty much the next level for BTC. Ethereum on a very similar trajectory as it's coming up to that resistance of 35.50, and RSI, of course, incredibly overbought at over 85.86 here, and the all-time high, of course, sits well over 4,800. So it's got a huge challenge, a huge target to break out of at 3,500 before we can see highs of 4,000 or 4,800. But of course, given how overbought the conditions are, it wouldn't be surprising to me if you do see a bit of a pullback before finally breaking out to the upside for a lot of these cryptos. And Dogecoin here just once again pushing up to almost 5 cents, I believe. Oh, that's a little bit different. So this right here is going to be Dogecoin. I think it was almost at 10 cents the last time. Oh, wow, that's pretty cool. 10 cents is the last time I saw it. It's right now just over 8.8 cents at the moment for Dogecoin. But nonetheless, a lot of crypto-related miners and stocks and, of course, ETFs doing really well on the back of this very significant bull market on Bitcoin here. Now going over to the market, so S&P 500, as we've already discussed in our newsletter and our previous videos, the analysis hasn't really changed all that much given how there is a negative divergence, there is overbought conditions, the markets continue to drift higher, so not saying that we can't go any higher, but of course the risk reward is not that favorable on the long side, which is exactly why I've been selling calls. I sold calls on Enphase, I sold calls on Tesla, I've got calls on Amazon, and all of them are acting as potential hedges for potential downside. So if they do actually end up selling off, those calls are obviously going to do well because of how they work, right? So selling options is one of the best ways, in my opinion, to actually generate cash flows, hedge your positions, and also be net neutral on a directional standpoint. So even if stocks go higher, great, you make profit on the underlying shares and are able to sell for a nice profit. If stocks actually do drop, that's also fine. I'm holding these companies for the long term anyway, and I actually do make money on the premiums collected by selling those calls and those puts. So support level is going to stay put at 5,045. That's a level that we've been watching. And of course, below that, 4,800, which is a more reasonable, more realistic support and a level that we could kind of retest over the coming weeks. That's about a 4 to 5% pullback, which again is quite reasonable on the S&P. Now, NASDAQ here, very similar, kind of coming up to its all-time highs, almost testing its resistance here at 16,200. That's going to be the level to watch. And of course, support level is going to stay put at 15,150 to as much as 15,400. And of course, we've got another very important support level at 14.6 to 14.4. Although I don't believe that we're going to see that big of a correction. Of course, a lot of it is dependent on interest rate policy, inflation, macroeconomics. Of course, market sentiment's been very strong to the upside, but it doesn't take long to shift that overall sentiment. And if you do start seeing some profit taking, of course, first level is going to be at 15,300, 15,400, all the way down to as low as 14.5 for the NASDAQ as well. Talking about Apple here, and Apple also starting to kind of move sideways, consolidating in the 180s, as we have already discussed. That's a very strong support. If it does end up breaking down below $180 level here, then of course the next target is going to be closer to 165, which would be, in my opinion, a much stronger area of support and demand, and I would be very, very aggressive in dollar cost averaging at Apple at 165. Amazon, on the other hand, continues to get rejected here at 176. We do have a little bit of a gap to fill here. Support level, much stronger support sitting in the 155 range for Amazon. And that would be the level, that would be ideally the next target if we do actually end up seeing a bigger pullback for Amazon, and my calls will obviously print if Amazon does drop here. I think I got about a couple more weeks until expiration, but 170 is my call strike. So if it actually ends up trading in and around these levels, that would be ideal because I'll be able to sell my shares at 170 while also keeping the entire premium. So my actual sale price would be closer to where it's trading at the moment at 173, 174. And I don't mind picking up more shares in the 150s or down in the 140s. But of course, 121, and I will be going crazy on Amazon, buying a lot more at the moment. So Tesla here, on the other hand, pushing up over 1%, still struggling to break out over 200s properly. So this right here is the entire technical breakdown on Tesla. You'll notice a lot of consolidation. It's been kind of drifting sideways. It isn't really seeing a lot of momentum to the upside, although it is bouncing off of that support in the 180s. The next target, the next ideal target, which has been inside this lower high and lower low. So this right here is the overall downtrending channel. The next target really is going to be in the 240s for Tesla, so that right there, but we do need a bigger breakout beyond this $205, $206 resistance, which it seems to be kind of having a hard time breaking out over that resistance. So that is a very, very strong area of supply. And if in case we get a breakout, of course, that next target is going to be this lower high sitting in the 240s, 250s for Tesla. Going over to Nvidia here, Nvidia finally starting to see a bit of a pullback and dropping a little bit over 1% back down to under $750, I believe, or 776 right now. But this right here, of course, just consolidating sideways. It's done really well. Huge breakout after the earnings, 16% hitting new all-time highs. Support level right now is going to stay put at 741, down to as low as 633, and a much stronger area of demand in the low 500s. That's also kind of in line with my fair value on Nvidia as well. Talking about advanced micro devices, same story. It's really just been consolidating sideways. So this right here, very, very strong resistance at close to 175 to 185. So that $10 range is really where AMD is struggling at the moment. Got some decent support here sitting for advanced micro devices in the 160s to 158. And it's really just been over here sideways trading in that range for advanced micro devices at the moment. So that is going to be some levels to watch. In case we get a bigger breakdown, of course, the next target is going to be $130, $140 for advanced micro devices. Talking about PayPal, and PayPal I think also did push higher on the day, so a little bit of an outperformance relative to the NASDAQ and the S&P 500, so pushing up to over $60, and it's really just been consolidating sideways in that support here. It's going to be $57, $58 per share. Of course, we did see a bigger breakdown here all the way down to low 50s. Next target and resistance obviously is going to be sitting all the way up to as much as $68. That's exactly where we have gotten rejected multiple times, and then beyond that, we're going to be watching closer to $77 per share in case we get a bigger breakout to the upside for PayPal, but of course it's just having a hard time finding that momentum, and support level is going to stay put at $57 per share. Talking about Visa, and Visa on the other hand pushing up over 87-90 basis points, so a little bit over $285, so very, very nice move to the upside. This entire rally has been absolutely phenomenal for Visa, trading at overbought levels, trading at pretty much all-time highs here, so we'll keep a close eye on this. This is a perfect swing trading opportunity here in the 250s. If Visa actually does drop back down to those levels, that's going to be in line with that higher low, as you can see, and also in line with that previous resistance, acting as a very strong horizontal support for Visa. But until we get down there, this is a stock that is good for long-term dollar cost averaging perspective, but not from a tradable perspective, because it is just a bit too overbought here, considering that the RSI, again, is seeing that negative divergence. So I would be very cautious for Visa at these levels. Talking about Meta platforms, and Meta here on the day also selling off, I think a little bit over 60 basis points here, still trading pretty much at an all-time high, so it doesn't really matter. A little bit of that negative divergence continues. Support level is going to be in the 451, and we've got a gap potentially to fill all the way down to 383 support, and Meta is actually going to be a much better buy here in the 315s to 330s, but that of course is going to require a pretty significant shift in the overall sentiment and the momentum itself, so we'll continue to monitor Meta as well. But right now, resistance at the moment of $492 to $495, where it's exactly getting rejected at the moment. Talking about Netflix here, and Netflix also just consolidating sideways, coming down to sub $600. It did get a little bit of a breakout past 600, but it's still getting rejected here at $600, and support level is going to stay put down in the 550s, down to as low as low 500s to just a little bit over 490 support, kind of in line with that previous resistance where it has gotten rejected multiple times in the past. Now Google here really struggling, down almost 2%, coming down to $137 per share. There's been some talks about Sundar Pichai getting fired or resigning. I will be doing a separate, more dedicated video on Google here very soon, but it's definitely struggling a little bit here at the moment, and of course definitely selling off quite considerably and seeing that breakout, that breakdown. 126 is going to be that support level to watch for Google moving forward, all the way down to 117, and right now, as I said earlier, it's starting to break down below this level even further, and 126 is going to be that next support level to keep in mind. Microsoft, on the other hand, also starting to see a bit of a pullback, not quite, I mean, it's coming down to this higher low, but still somewhat up on the day, and right now still trading within the context of this uptrend, so higher highs and higher lows. So this right here is the entire uptrend with a previous resistance potentially acting as a support all the way down to $366. That's going to be that next level to watch and keep in mind for Microsoft as well. And finally, we've got Enphase Energy also down, I believe, on the day, a little bit over 1.6%, which is good because my calls are again up. But this right here, very strong resistance and support level is going to stay put in the low 100s for Enphase. And that is, again, going to be a very strong area of demand, as well as $90 to $93, as well as down to $76 per share. Enphase still is a company that's going to perform better and much better, in my opinion, towards the end of 2024, going into 2025 as well. So I hope you all enjoyed this video and a complete update on the markets. Get ready for tomorrow. Very, very important inflation numbers coming out. But Bitcoin here, with no regards to whatever is going on in the world or the economy, just continues to kind of power through to almost to new all-time highs here. And we'll continue to monitor a lot of different equities. And again, this all will be part of our weekly newsletter, which you can kind of read on a Sunday. It's going to take you 15-20 minutes to read the entire newsletter and get ready for the upcoming weeks, and also understand my analysis and what I'm doing with some very good investable and tradable opportunities in the markets. That's also going to be part of the weekly newsletter as well. So link's going to be down below if you want to join, be a part of our MoneyVest community. As always, happy investing, and I'll see you all in the next video.